every time I walk into school, I never thought anything would happen to me. Like, that's honestly a place I've honestly felt protected. Now, I don't even want to be in the hallways alone.
Yeah, teachers and students at a high school in Georgia are now the victims of the 45th school shooting in the U.S. this year. 2 math teachers and 2 14-year-old students were killed. 8 other students and 1 teacher were hurt. They are all expected to survive. Now, tragedies like this are beyond hard to grapple with, whether you're a member of the community where it happened or a student or parent here in Colorado.
That's right. If you are struggling to find a way to address this with your child, our 90s parenting expert and therapist, Dr. Sheryl Ziegler, is here with a few things for you to consider. Dr. Ziegler, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, of course, this is a really hard topic, heartbreaking story to once again see this playing out. There were messages of love during the press conference that we watched yesterday. What can we teach our kids about a message like that in a time of tragedy like this?
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful. It was like, I'm not sure what his role was, but it was law enforcement, maybe a sheriff, somebody in charge of it. And he was just so adamant, like, this will not ruin our community. We will face this with love. And I think, first of all, that's the model that we want. Someone in a power position, somebody in authority that says, actually, the solution to this is not anger, it's not fighting, it's love. So I think what that means when you hear that, you heard it from him, and then there was a big, I think, service last night, and that was the message as well, that we will fight this with love, which means we need to pour into all of our kids. So if a kid says, what does that mean? It means we have to love you. No matter if you're 8, you're 14, you're 18, it doesn't matter. We need to pour into love and kindness, compassion, and empathy. And those sound like things like, yeah, give me really hard, tangible things. But it's not always easy, and it doesn't come easy in a world where we're so divided. So I think the message really has to be around love in terms of how do you help heal a community.
Right. In fact, anger comes easier a lot of times at times like these. But.
Yeah. Well, you heard from the student there, and I heard this a lot yesterday in my mom's circle, is like the one place that a lot of these kids felt safe and secure was totally shattered by this yesterday. Why is having that sense of security and safety so important?
Yeah, there's this notion, I think we all understand physical safety, and we're very focused on that, but really there's a term called psychological safety. And what that means is that I get to show up wherever the space is, whether that's in a relationship, in a school building, at work, and I feel like my voice can be heard, that I can disagree with you, that I may have different points of view, but that we're all safe, that everyone is respected and everyone's valued. And when we have another tragedy like this in a school, you lose both the physical safety, but you also lose that psychological safety. Some kids tell me they don't really want to look at other kids. They don't want to ever say anything that could go wrong. They just sort of sit there with all this tense feeling, trying to learn. That's a lack of physical and psychological safety. And it takes a while to build that back, but it's really just as important as that physical safety.
I want to stay on that topic, though, of psychological safety, because on one hand, we want people to be able to show up and feel safe. On the other hand, it takes people to make this a safe environment. That doesn't just happen. What can we do to assure that psychological safety, whether it's at school, it's at home, wherever it may be?
Yeah, I think one of the first things we have to do is learn how to have hard conversations. How do we disagree? So that maybe starts at the dinner table, right? How do we talk about, do you want chicken or fish for dinner? The silliest things, they seem little, but these are the building blocks, the foundation of how we get to the point where you've got an adolescent who's, I don't know the details, but clearly angry, disturbed, maybe needs help.
Right.
Clearly needs help and doesn't feel safe enough to say, I have a lot of anger or hate inside of me. I have darkness inside of me. I need help. That was clearly missing in this situation, missing in all of these situations where hurt people hurt people. And so there's that piece. There's also, you cannot avoid the gun piece. And so when you have issues with mental health and then you have easy access to a gun, that is a combination that forever and a day, and I'm talking decades, we've always talked about in psychological health. You can't have the two together, right? Anytime that I am hurting or you're hurting, if we have access to something hurtful to us, that could be drugs, alcohol, guns, whatever it is, we are more likely to abuse it, hurt ourselves and hurt others. This is common sense. So there is a piece where we have to have these hard conversations, and it really starts young.
Speaking of hard conversations, how do we have the conversation about another school shooting with kids? Like, is there a certain age that you bring it to them? I've got a 3 and a 5-year-old. They didn't ask me anything about it, but I have other kids in my cul-de-sac that were asking a lot of questions about it. How do you even start that conversation?
Right, so right off the bat, I'd say 3 and 5 years old is generally too young. Generally under the age of 8, we don't say, okay, parents, go ahead and initiate this conversation. However, your 5-year-old might be riding a bus or sitting next to somebody who all of a sudden brings it up. In the cases of kids that are about 7 and under, wait for them. Wait for them to bring it up if you think they probably have been shielded from this. But what we think is, depending on your kid, about the ages of 8 and older, they have access to YouTube and social media and bus rides and school teams where kids are talking, and if you've got older siblings. And so in those cases, it's really important here in Colorado that we're talking about this because we have unfortunately been in the shoes where Georgia is. And we can get re-triggered. So there is that, post-traumatic piece of like, oh my gosh, another one. And we have, really thousands of people in this state that have been directly impacted by school shootings. And so we need to be careful. We need to be sensitive. Reach out to somebody if you know they've been affected. And, 8 and older, you probably need to talk to your kids and talk to them about mental health and belonging, inclusivity, all those really important pieces.
No matter where you live, it's always a great time to practice all of this. All right, Dr. Ziegler, thank you very much. An important conversation. We appreciate it.